Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, and welcome to another episode of Being Quranist on Quranist Network Television, QNet TV. Today's title is a tad dramatic, and I apologize for that. But yes, it is meant to get your attention a little bit. Basically, the whole point of it is to say that we live in very interesting times. Times which require our attention. I'm not saying that these times are necessarily unique, but I do believe that there is an ebb and flow to things. In the case of the times in which we live in, I think for the last 10-20 years, as far as my observation goes, I see a gradual progression in the pushing of the Muslim world into center stage of the global theater. The Muslim world is being portrayed in a negative way, so much so that they are seen as the global bad guys among a few other bad guys, but the Muslims are the main bad guys. And I think it's pretty sad. I think it is pretty sad because an entire civilization of people are being tarred with a certain brush so that they can actualize a certain agenda. I think everyone knows this. We know this on a subconscious level, and we feel that perhaps there's nothing we can do about it, and I think that's wrong. And that's why the title of this program, or the title of this episode, is Calling All Quranists. So in this game which we just described, who are the biggest helpers to make this happen? Who are the ones who help to consolidate this image that the Muslims are the new bad guys of the world? In my opinion, the Muslims themselves. All you have to do, look at news reports. You find acts of terrorism. If not acts themselves, then preaching of terrorism. If not some stoning where some poor woman gets stoned to death. If not some guy gets a fatwa for writing a book or opposing Islamic orthodoxy. If not some person who wants to leave Islam, he has to run away to a Western country to get asylum or something because he can't do it in his own country. If not some honor killing. And all these things, they have the title Muslim man does this, Islam says this, etc., etc. Very strange. All they had to do is just say some Muslims say this, a minority of Muslims say this, some opinions in Islam say this. But they never say that. They just say Muslims and Islam. Now this is very strange. There is something afoot and something we need to be aware of. But how are we helping this on a subconscious level is that we are not saying enough to oppose this. Now if you speak to a Muslim on the street, I have many friends who are fellow Muslims, and I ask them, look, what do you think about this? And they are opposed to it. Now this is not a modernist impulse. We are not opposing these things because we live in modern times. No, we are opposing these things because on a deep spiritual level they are wrong. Well, guess what? On a deep Quranic level they are wrong as well. The Quran opposes these teachings unambiguously, and we can prove this. And this is why we need your help. Now we're not claiming that we can change the world overnight. That's impossible. But we can certainly change or make the change one person at a time. But we need to be active on a consistent level. The activism needs to go on every day. So we call you, Quranists, to come and work with us so we can make this happen. Firstly, let me define who are Quranists here. Now, Quranists and I think there will be another episode where we discuss this in detail, but now's not the time. But Quranists are simply Muslims who agree that the Quran is our only source of authority. Now, this does not entail rejection of any other source. What it entails is an acknowledgement that anyone who wants to follow any other thing, that's fine, as long as he does not make it obligatory to follow it. The only source for us is the Quran, and that's our only divine source. The rest are perhaps cultural sources, if nothing else. So when we put the Quran into focus, all these teachings which I mentioned before, they fall away. So how can you work with us? Number one, you can write articles yourself. Articles about issues like terrorism, apostasy, stoning, oppression of women, poverty. You can write these articles yourself and publish them and propagate them yourself on a website, in a book. Do whatever you can. Number two, you can get articles from us, whether on misconceptions about Islam, where there are a number of articles refuting these teachings, or on Quranist.net, where we discuss the authority of traditionalism and why we reject this authority. You can get articles there. You can talk to your family and friends. Take it slow. Don't expect change overnight. Tell them, look, the situation is because we are clinging to teachings which are contrary to the Quran. Now, even if you accept a hadith which is not against the Quran, this is better than actually accepting hadith which are against the Quran. So you should be able to talk to people gently and compassionately and tell them, look, the Quran says this, we're doing that. Why is this? We need to change and move towards the Quran and be nice about it. And I'm very sure that you can make a change. Another thing you can do is perhaps get in touch with us, and we can show you a little corner of cyberspace. There are many areas in cyberspace where we can actually discuss, debate, even provide links. And we can't do it all ourselves. We need your help as well. So, bearing this in mind, if we put our heads together, we each spend maybe 10-15 minutes a day talking to people, writing to people, networking with each other, slowly, inshallah, we can counter the tide against Islam. Islam has so much to offer the world. On its true level, it is not meant to be an oppressor to anyone, but it's also not meant to be oppressed by anyone. It's meant to stand tall with the other nations of the world. So here's what we can do to make that happen. And we need your help. 10-15 minutes a day. Get in touch with us or be active yourselves. We need to form a network, a Quranist network, where the only authority is God Himself. Many thanks for listening to me. I hope we can actually do something this time as opposed to just talking. Get in touch with us, and inshallah we can work together towards turning this tide. Thank you very much. Bye.